Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 261 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on May 27th, 2025. How are all you wonderful folks doing today? Yeah, I hope you were able to relax at least a little bit this Memorial Day weekend. Have quite the interesting episode for you today. We do have quite the dichotomy to discuss here. So first, we'll head into the deep dive of the off-grid Scorpius 22 silencer. Yeah, we'll look at that performance. That was on the little Beretta 21A subcompact rimfire pistol from last week. The little Beretta Bobcat. Interesting little silencer. So we'll go through that report together today. And then we'll hit something completely different. Due to popular demand, the Q Southpaw 5.56 silencer, it went through a research program here at Pew Science. That was highly requested, so we elected to use internal funding to get this done. So huge thanks to Pew Science members for trusting us to perform this work. It was interesting. We feel we got a lot out of it, and we hope this helps the community further understand the Q rifle silencer technology. As we've now explained how it works for half a decade to you publicly, so this is not only an important addition to the research pedigree, but it's congruent with everything we've learned about the technology so far. So it's great when puzzle pieces fit perfectly together, isn't it? I like that. So we'll hit the intro talk for that today, okay? And then next episode, we'll have the technical talk, okay? So now on with the show. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. We are so glad to have you here to talk about silencers. There are timestamps in the episode description all day, all night, always. No matter where you're listening, YouTube, Spotify, any podcast provider, in the episode description there are timestamps. In Spotify, you can actually tap on them on your phone. You can tap each timestamp and go directly to the topics. Did you know that? You can. If you want to hang around with me a little bit longer, I'm going to quickly speak to you about the companies who make this podcast possible, and there are a few, and they're all pretty good. For example, the first one is Legion Athletics. Nothing you do, exercise, sports, engineering, silencer design, shooting, is worth doing without consistency. You have to do things all the time if you want to be good at them. Legion Athletics can help you with that. Whey protein, pre-workout, post-workout, creatine, vitamins, minerals. Do they have everything you need? Well, no. No one does, but they have a lot. Visit legionathletics.com. There's a link in the show notes. Please use that link. And just so you know, there is a coupon code for you. Yes, you. Code word Pew Science. It actually is pretty crazy. Now, if you use code word Pew Science at checkout, you will get buy one, get one 50% off for your entire shopping cart on your first order. And instead of a net 10% cash back like you used to get, now you get 20% cash back every time you use the code. And the cash back is in the form of points, and you redeem those points, but it's 20%, same as cash. Good stuff. It's important. Also, we're brought to you by Silencer Shop, largest distributor of silencers in the known universe. They've done a lot for the industry, also dealers, consumers, everyone. I mean, they're plugged in everywhere. They have an ecosystem. They use their kiosk. You do everything electronically. It's probably in a gun store near you. It's pretty amazing what they've built, and it does benefit, I think, everyone, because it does cut down on a lot of errors in the process with the paperwork and everything. It's all digital. It's all encrypted. It's all secure, and you don't pay any transfer fees. You get a money back guarantee. It's pretty good, man. It's just you and your silencer with no drama. Truly, silencer ownership simplified. One of the dealers that uses that is Top Gun Range, who also sponsors this podcast. They're a really good hands-on dealer in Houston. If you're just passing through, you should go check them out. 15-lane indoor shooting range, which is huge because you can actually rent the small arms and test fire them yourself. And you can rent pistols, rifles, shotguns, machine guns, and you can even rent silencers. That's huge. I think invaluable, really. So check out their inventory at topgunrange.com. Of course, follow them on Instagram. They're good. They have cool memes. It's fun. Podcast is also brought to you by Capital Armory. You notice a theme here? How all these people that are selling silencers on a mass scale tend to endorse Pew Science and sponsor the podcast. Is that a pattern? Is it? Silencers in high demand, and approval times are pretty quick. So you need options. Capitol Armory is here to help you with that. They can actually ship your silencer directly to your door, which is nuts, dude. If you live in one of the 42 states where silencers are legal, you can order a silencer in your living room and have it shipped directly to that same living room. Okay, it really is that easy. Capitol Armory, silencer shipped directly to your door. And finally, this podcast is sponsored by the Pew Science Laboratory. The technical director of the lab. We continue. This is our 5th year of operation, and we have chosen to continue in the interest of public education to sponsor this podcast, make it happen. It's a research diary for you, and we run a public research effort. You're to see the not Trash Panda, Southpaw, Freudian slip. You're going to see the Q Southpaw today because of this. You visit pewscience.com for the suppression rating. It's the simplest, most accurate hearing safe rating for suppressed small arms based on true human inner ear response of the entire gunshot from before combustion takes place until all the combustion is gone and all the mechanical operation of the weapon system has ceased. Real world testing, real weapons, real silencers, real testing, real engineering analysis of the data. It's in the Silencer Sound Standard. 7 sections, the most in-depth and accurate silencer data and analysis in the world. All available to the public 24/7 at pewscience.com. You can support this podcast. You can support Pew Science. You can support all the public testing we do for you by joining with a membership at pewscience.com. Dude, grassroots, okay? There's a donate feature if you don't want to do a recurring thing, just want to do like a one-time tax-deductible donation, hint, hint, do that. IRS, what's up? Also, something that's free and doesn't cost you anything if you don't want to give any money, which you don't have to. You can just spread the word. Let folks know that silencers and guns are awesome. Tell them about the podcast. We're all friends here. We've got 2 topics for you today, okay? We're going to go into the off-grid Scorpius technical talk, and then we'll talk about the Q Southpaw. All right, let's do topic 1 at a time of 7 minutes and 7 seconds. Oh, I like that. All right, 1 second. Let me get some water here. All right, man, what a weird episode. 22 and 556. It's crazy. Same diameter, different loudness, different energy. Topic 1, Sound Signature Review 6188. The off-grid Scorpius on the Beretta 21A subcompact 22 rimfire pistol. Some more rimfire data analysis for you folks. This is a small and light and quiet silencer. So this is the technical discussion for the white paper published last week. Okay, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think we can all agree that suppressing rimfire is super fun, right? And subsonic rimfire, it's extra fun, I say. Yeah, so you get to double dip in your fun factor if you play your cards right. What's one part of the fun? Well, cheap ammunition. Yeah, that means you can spend less money and shoot more. Yeah, that's awesome. And remember, ammunition is the most expensive part of shooting. If you're new to shooting, I hope you know that. Spend good money on a good gun you want and a good silencer you want. You know what I mean? Because you're going to spend so much more. If you actually shoot, you're going to spend so much more money on ammunition. Unless you're talking about 22, maybe. I don't know. I shoot a lot now when I can. And ammo is by far the largest cost most of the time, unless you're shooting a night's gun. But yeah, what's the second part of the fun besides that? Being super duper ninja quiet. Yeah. Is that a given? Well, no, it's not. It's not, especially on a rimfire pistol. It's much harder to suppress a short barrel semi-automatic rimfire pistol to super duper ninja quiet levels than it is to suppress a 22 bolt action rifle. Okay? Bolt action, 22 subsonic suppression is suppression on easy mode. There's nothing wrong with that, but because it's so easy to do, we kind of want to focus on what's harder to do. We want to focus more on the difficult. Because the more we focus on the difficult, the more there can be advancement. Yes. And when the things advance, we all have more fun and we all win. Yeah. So our mission of normalizing the use of suppressed small arms is enhanced when things work better. Yeah, makes sense, right? So recently, we have seen a ton of new silencers come to market, and some of them have been rimfire. And thanks to 3D printing, a lot of designs that folks have thought about doing before, or maybe have been inspired about doing, due to things they've learned are effective over the years, those things are coming to life. And I really love this for the industry. I love how things are moving forward. I love how manufacturing technologies are making it possible. And I love that there's companies taking advantage of this. It's really cool. So we saw a little silencer called the Pluto evaluated back in April of last year. I think you all saw that. If you haven't, go check it out. But that was on 22 bolt action. If you remember that silencer, it was 5 inches long, 1 inch in diameter, and it weighed like 2.1 ounces. So last week, we published a study on the off-grid Scorpius, extremely similar silencer. The difference is that this one has a lattice structure surrounding the pretty simple baffles. So little design modifications like this they're available. Okay? They're available with 3D printing now. And it's very interesting to us when they come across our desk because you see this and you're like, they tweaked this. Interesting. So I think it's going to be good. Let's do this. I think we should jump into the technical report and go through it together. So go ahead and pull that up now. pewscience.com, report 6.188. That's 6.188. If you remember, pull up the member version. That's the full review. There's no ads, and it has more data and stuff. If you're not a member, that's okay. Pull up the free version and follow along. Okay, it'll be all right. We won't leave you behind. Okay, so again, 5 inches long, 1 inch OD, and this one is 2.2 ounces, so a tenth of an ounce heavier than the Pluto. So this is tested on the Beretta 21A, the Beretta Bobcat. So just for context, in case you're not familiar with that little pistol, that is a 2.4 inch barrel semi-automatic handgun. Really little guy. High muzzle blast pressure, for 22 coming out of there. So keep that in mind. Bottom line up front, 80.7 muzzle suppression rating, 1 meter left of the end cap, 1.6 meters above the ground in the true free field. 74.7 shooter's ear suppression rating, 6 inches right of the shooter's right ear. That brings us to a composite suppression rating of 82.0. So when you get up into that zone on the dose chart, you're doing some real work. In these zones, in the free field, you can shoot a lot of rounds without concern. That's the point. There's a really good thing about that, because sometimes you just want to plink. Now, how is this silencer accomplishing it? How is it letting this contained explosion in a firearm be so quiet? Let's dig deeper and see, okay? So go ahead and scroll down to the blast overpressure histories in Figure 1. Okay. Yeah. You have Figure 1A and Figure 1B. Very typical for this type of a host. But what is not typical is how low the jetting amplitude is for a silencer this small. Very interesting. Also atypical is the consistency. A really good tool for viewing consistency that I like to use personally is the blast momentum transfer potential histories. That's right. Another word for that is the blast impulse in Figure 2A. Okay. We continue to be interested in the way first round pop gets quenched. I think that stands out to a lot of you if you look at these figures. In Figure 2A, you can see blast momentum from the first shot try to run away, doesn't it? It tries to run away. And this should really be no surprise if you looked at Figure 1. Like if you look at Figure 1B, which is the zoomed in early time of the pressure signal in Figure 1A, you see the pressure first round pop waveform. It was getting pretty intense in early time. There was a pretty major jet there, like relative to the other early history, but then you get a pause in accumulation. You get a plateau. Okay, so I want you to do that. Look at Figure 1B. Look at that big FRP spike. I think it reaches 131.1 decibels for a fleeting moment in time, literally. And then when you go to Figure 2A, you can kind of see, so what was that peak at? Like 31 point, I don't know exactly what it's at, but it's like 31.6, probably 31.5 milliseconds or so. So if you look at Figure 2A, you can see the corresponding impulse values. You kind of see that impulse spike too, don't you? But then what happens in impulse space? That momentum accumulation pauses. doesn't it? And you get a plateau. You're still accumulating momentum, but you're not increasing the accumulation. So the FRP is still happening, but something is keeping it from increasing in the positive phase, isn't there? Yeah. And then that FRP, that first shot blast momentum, it doesn't start to accumulate again until after the subsequent shots have reached peak. So it takes a while during FRP. So what are you looking at here? You're witnessing an FRP masking mechanism, and it's pretty interesting. And we have a theory about this particular one. So I think the lattice is doing that. When things start to run away from the extra oxidizer in the silencer during the first shot, the lattice is there for extra expansion. Okay, and because it's not just void space, there's a quenching effect. It's like a little flame arrestor potentially, right? So we'd have to examine the cross-section of the silencer in detail, but you get the overall theory. From what we can tell, that's a likely mechanism, and after that happens, the rest of the shots are pretty consistent, which is cool. And when you're this consistent and this low of an amplitude, that's really neat performance trait to see, I think. It's really great stuff here. Really clean, really clean data, really high performance silencer, in my opinion. I think this would be high performance for any silencer. And when you consider the size that it is, like, it's pretty impressive to me. And just as an aside, really quick, before we move on from this point too, is I think it's important that we do the testing the way we do and show first round pop like this, and then show shots after the FRP to show that consistency. I think it's important for you to see the performance of a silencer as you would actually shoot it. I think that goes a long way to practical performance metric comparison. I think if you did this differently and you didn't shoot it like you would shoot a normal gun, I think you could get some data, but I don't think it would be useful to the general public. And so I just wanted to really quick tell you that, and that's a surprise tool that's going to help you later. Trust me. But I just wanted to kind of state that for the record. I do believe what we're doing is correct. So, and applicable for you in practical performance investigations. Now, doing this on a bolt gun, what the Scorpius is doing, I think a lot of things can do this. Doing it on a pistol? Nah, dude. It's harder. And I know the pistol data set for 22 is small right now, but it's going to get bigger. It's going to get bigger, okay? This silencer, it doesn't have a super low back pressure, but it's not super high either. If you look at the shooter's ear waveforms in the full member report, if you were to scroll down past, gosh, there's so much in here. If you were to scroll down to section 6.188.1.2, which is only available for members, you're going to see some really good stuff. And a lot of the behavior you see is mirrored from the muzzle, which should be reassuring to you, first of all. But also it's kind of showing like how small the weapon system is and how much the shooter is affected by the actual muzzle signature. There's pretty consistent accumulation early on, and we simply don't see a really high hazard at the shooter's ear, and that's comforting considering this is a semi-auto gun. If you can manage back pressure with this little CCI standard velocity charge, which is the ammunition we're using, while still suppressing that incomplete combustion out of a short barrel, you're in business for suppressing 22, I think. I think that they achieved that here. If you want to look at some of the comparisons in the article, you can. We have the Rugged Oculus, long and short, the Otter Creek Labs Titanium, the Resilient Suppressors Jesse's Girl, the Cat SR, and all of these silencers are doing very well. To be clear, I mean it's rimfire after all, and all of these are actually high performance silencers. They really are. It just happen to be. The lesson learned here, I think, for a lot of people, and one of the reasons we included it at the inception of the Silencer Sound Standard in 2020 is the Rugged Oculus. Yeah, specifically the short configuration of the Rugged Oculus. I think that's a really good lesson. I can't tell you how many social media postings I have seen with the short configuration of a Rugged Oculus on a little Micro 22 handgun. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It looks cool. It's functional. It makes it so that you can shoot the silencer like comfortably in many environments because it's small, or the weapon system comfortably in many environments because it's compact with that small silencer. I mean, it works. But look at figure 6 in the report, ladies and gentlemen. All right, look at figure 6, the bar chart. If you think a little silencer using the type of technology in the Oculus is going to work in that 3¼ inch length, you got another thing coming, sir or ma'am. All right, it's just not going to do that type of work unless you really do something crazy inside. And the Oculus is not crazy inside. Spoiler alert, it's a low pressure optimized baffle system with curved cones and milk cuts. Okay, great silencer. One of the coolest silencers I personally own. But it's not going to be able to bring the performance in that little size envelope that some folks are going to lead you to believe. I promise you that. Okay? And I'm not talking about the manufacturer, you're not shooting you straight necessarily. I'm talking about the people who post the photos of really cool looking gun setups. I think things look cool too. I like things that look cool. I love looking cool. Part of this whole thing is looking cool. Silencers are one of the coolest things ever. And why do you think we all got into silencers? What? Because we thought they were boring? Well, that would be stupid. No. I would just ask that you use this as an opportunity for education, okay? As long as people know which silencers can be louder, they won't be disappointed. Maybe someone that owns an Oculus will see this and be like, maybe I better use the full configuration in a certain situation or something. I don't know. They could do that by trial and error, but now at least they have the data to back it up. You know what I'm saying? So you look at this off-grid Scorpius, and yeah, it's longer than the short configuration of the rugged Oculus, but it's also lighter, and it's pretty small. So then you consider the performance gap in the chart, right? And it's important to know that, yes, you can still be quote unquote small and high performance. Maybe you don't get to 3¼ inches of length like the short Oculus, but 5 inches for a 22 silencer is still not that long. It's still pretty quiet for the size, dude. I don't know. I think it's important. I hope this helps put things in perspective. Guys, there isn't a lot of muzzle blast to deal with from a 22 CCI standard velocity round. So when I say standard velocity, that is literally the ammunition loading. You can see that in the article, of course, in all our rimfire testing. CCI standard velocity in a rifle barrel should be subsonic for standard conditions. Okay? Of course, when you put it in a pistol barrel, it's going to be even slower, especially a small Beretta 21A pistol barrel. All right, it's not a download. It's not CCI subsonic. It's CCI standard velocity. So as a little more of a charge, one of the reasons why we standardized on that testing ammunition is because it's way more consistent than something like Remington bulk pack or something. And you need consistent ammunition for consistent testing, and there you go. So there's not a lot of muzzle blast to deal with when you shoot an unsuppressed 22 with CCI standard velocity, but it's still non-zero, okay? It's not a toy. It's not super tame. Like, you can still get a lot of hearing damage from an unsuppressed 22. It's like, especially from a pistol, especially in close quarters. So if you can suppress your little mouse gun, which I guess you can call the Beretta 21A a mouse gun, right? Do it. If you can suppress it, do it. Your ears, your neighbors, your kids are going to thank you. Okay, I really think that and you're going to have so much fun suppressing little 22 pistols. Just make sure you know what you're getting into. That's all. I know we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 data points for you there, but you'll get more. Trust me. But I think there's some more coming soon. So, yeah. Yeah, I was looking at the schedule. I think some more coming soon. So, 6, you'll have more. And hey, Rome wasn't built in a day. Before you know it, you'll have a whole collection. Big smattering, okay? So big thanks to Off Grid for trusting the Pew Science Laboratory today. Thanks for trusting us to perform this work. This is the 3rd publication you've seen from those folks. So go check it out, the ranking section. Find them in the manufacturer drop-down, the Off Grid there. Check out their other stuff. Big ups to them. There's just simply not a lot else to talk about in this. I think that, a lot of it's old hat. I didn't want to repeat to you, like the way heat transfer works, the way that turbulence increases the efficiency of heat transfer, the way that surface area contact in the silencer increases the efficiency of heat transfer. And what does this silencer have in spades? Well, we got a little lattice in there. What does that do? Maximizes surface area. What does that do? Helps turbulence. What does that do? Lets gas go off axis and go. It's almost like an annulus in the silencer. It's more of like an annular space around the baffle stack with a lattice. Guys, are you seeing a recurring theme here in technologies? Even in different combustion regimes? You are. What's topping the charts, guys? Hybrid designs. Yeah. If only there was some kind of website that keeps telling you that. pewscience.com. All right. Now for something completely different at a time of 25 minutes and 57 seconds. Oh, God. Here we go. Topic 2. Sound signature review 6189. The Q Southpaw on the standard untuned Mark 18. Highly requested research study funded by Pew Science members. That's right. How does this update to the Q Trash Panda for 556 address the performance deficiencies? Or does it at all? I don't know. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about it in this intro topic for the white paper published today with this episode. Well, tomorrow for me, today for you. Okay, so I'm going to actually, I'm going to pull up the article that's not live yet because I need to refresh my memory about something real quick. I forgot. Oh, right. Yep. Okay. All right. So, I don't know how to do this. I guess there's no good way but to do it. So, okay. The last time we published a Q white paper on the Mark 18 was in 2021. Boy, was that an interesting week if you were around for that. That was around Christmas time. That made for an interesting Christmas. We actually did another Q research study in 2022, but that one wasn't really controversial for some reason. It was the full Nelson. Remember the full Nelson? Yeah. Kind of odd, right? No controversy there. Weird. It's weird how that works like that. It's weird. So we had a lot of interest for this new 556 silencer from Q. They had not previously had a 556 silencer, right? For many years, the Trash Panda was advertised as adequate for that. It was. They called it full auto rated, to quote them. Super quiet, great for 556, all that stuff, right? You know the drill. Okay, it's not. So when we tested the Trash Panda on 556, and we had tested before on other stuff, but when we tested the Trash Panda on 556 in 2021, everyone saw exactly what they thought they would see based on experience, as is tradition with Pew Science for years. What did we see? Well, it performed not great, but not bad either. It wasn't bad at all, by any means, I thought. I didn't think it was bad. It was middle of the road. And, the Trash Panda, it was a little erratic in its combustion propagation. I mean, we saw that, and it made sense, really. It didn't surprise anyone who had actually shot the dang thing on a 556, okay? We understand the physics. We've seen it. It fit into the research pedigree like a puzzle piece. It was very simple and straightforward to us. So, when we saw this Southpaw, and people started asking us about it, and dealers started literally sending them to us. I mean, yes, these were literally being sent to Pew Science for testing. These, meaning multiple. I know. So we were interested. We're like, sure. Like, okay. Like, why is there so much interest? Whatever. We'll look at it. We'll take a look. And I took a look. And I thought personally, hey, this is neat. Steel Trash Panda, but smaller, with an Inconel blast baffle. Okay. Uses the Q mounting system that's super secure. Okay. I think it looks pretty cool. Okay. So sure. Given the amount of interest and the fact that Q hadn't released a 556 silencer to the market yet, we said, sure, we'll test it. Okay. Seems like a good way to study how these straight cone baffles work when you shrink the bore. I'm down for that. I would love to get that data point in our taxonomy. I would love it. I would love that in the research pedigree. Perfect. I love when we can control for variables. I love when we can add a variable. I love it. I love to investigate this stuff. That's the whole point of Pew Science. So we did the testing. Yeah. We spent the money. Pew Science spent the money. We actually spent the money to do a multi-test series. Yeah, that's right. As many of you know, the Q Southpaw comes with Q's new mount called the rear end. It's just like a cherry bomb, except it's not. The differences are that it has a larger bore and it doesn't have a taper interface. Yeah, it has a regular 90-degree shoulder instead, and it also has wrench flats on the rear. Before the way you would install and remove a cherry bomb from a barrel would be use a socket on the front, which was clever, but it didn't have a wrench flat, so if you can get it stuck in the silencer, you can't. It's a whole problem. And anyway, the rear end is not as minimalist and as specialized as the cherry bomb, but it has the same silencer retention mechanism, doesn't it? The thread and taper are the same. And I will say, just for the record, the cherry bomb and the rear end, and of course the Plan B mounting system, are some of the most secure mounts you can buy for silencers, like full stop. Now, do we think there's some issues with them? Sure. Is coming loose one of them? No way, Jose. No way, dude. Now, do the third-party mounts work as well? I mean, probably most of the time. And by third-party, the third-party copies of the Q mount. I think those third-party versions do probably work most of the time. But I think the Q mounts are probably dimensionally superior since they have never released prints. So, every third-party Plan B compatible mounting system that you see is a reverse engineered copy of the Q system. That. I just want to make sure you people new to silencers and new to the podcast know that. I think it's important because I like the historical record to at least show, chronology. But yeah, they're all those third party systems. They're all copies, every single one of them. Every single one of them. Q has not licensed it or released prints. So, whatever you're buying has been laser scanned or mic'd or whatever. And then if another company's making it, they're getting the drawings from someone who mic'd it or laser scanned it or whatever. Okay. So, and then they're going to pick their own manufacturing tolerances and you know what I mean? So I'm just saying it's called reverse engineering. It's not genuine. I'm not saying they can't work. I'm just telling you the reality so you know. So if you have a problem, you're not 100% surprised. You're only maybe 95% surprised. Okay? Okay. Now, this isn't the first Q556 rifle silencer concept to exist, or even actually a silencer to exist. It's just the first one commercially to happen, I believe. Every time I say that, I feel like I'm missing something, but no, that's true. I think this is their first 556 silencer commercially. I remember a while back, several years back, they would talk about something called the Lefty, which from its name, you would think would be focused on gas mitigation or low back pressure or another performance trait like that. Okay, this is a long time ago. I've seen many versions of it. They had holes in the front. They had all kinds of stuff. Many years. I was at SHOT Show earlier this year, and I had an opportunity to speak with some of their engineers. And I know, hey, shout out Nick if you're listening. What's up? I like Nick. He's very nice person. Good engineer too, by the way. They told me about it. And I saw that Lefty, I think, and I thought it was interesting. The Southpaw is not like that. The Southpaw is quite literally a shorter trash panda made out of steel with an Inconel blast baffle with a tighter bore. Now, I'm not dismissing the engineering and testing that went into the silencer because there was engineering and testing done. And I think it's a well put together silencer. But I do want you all to know that this silencer technology, the actual suppression technology in the silencer, is a legacy technology. Okay? It is important for you to know that it's legacy technology if you follow this research, because that's what we're doing. We're quantifying performance for the taxonomy. This is the 189th report, And the Q Southpaw on the Mark 18 in the rankings table that you'll see in the morning here marks the 210th public record. Okay, that's a big deal, and we're consistent. If you've been following Pew Science since March of 2020, you know that this podcast serves as a real-time public research diary, and everything we publish publicly is documented here on the website. So in the midst of controversies, celebrations, the thrills of victories, the agonies of defeats, we persevere. Okay? We don't change what we do. We don't change how we do it or why we do it. Our mission is to normalize the use of suppressed small arms and to push the industry forward one test at a time. Full stop. Okay? So the Q Southpaw represents a legacy technology used in a model line refresh to give consumers an option to use, for lack of a better term, 5.56 rifles. That's probably more appropriate than using a Trash Panda. Now, with regard to performance, it's very similar to a Trash Panda in that regard, though it does offer more consistency than the Trash Panda on this platform. Okay, there are technical performance factors that I promise I will discuss with you in great detail next episode. Per typical, please read the report. That is your homework assignment. Let it percolate and marinate. And the next episode we have together, you'll be ready to follow right along, and we'll go through it together, and it'll be great. We've been hitting this stuff pretty hot and heavy, and I'm going to be out next week. So you'll have to wait another week for the technical talk. That's fine. Use this opportunity to not only examine the white paper, but maybe catch up on some of the other white papers you may have missed, or maybe even catch up on some of the older podcast episodes you may have missed. You might have missed something. So Pew Science members, thank you for trusting the Pew Science Laboratory to perform this work for you. I hope you find it useful. We know how Q rifle silencer technology performs on both supersonic and subsonic rifle completely. Now, I would consider this a closed research branch. We don't feel there's much more to learn from this technology evaluation anymore. When Q releases something different, we will, of course, also be excited to evaluate it. Okay? But this is how this goes. This is the natural progression, and we've proven over the past 5 years that we're very consistent in how we approach it and tackle it. Okay? I know I told you we did a multi-test series to explore the old cherry bomb performance in this silencer compared with the rear end mount performance in the silencer. We will not be publishing, at least right now, that the multi-test stuff, because frankly, we didn't want to spend the money to get that published too. Or let me say that a different way, if it's hard. We didn't want to spend the man hours, which is money. Okay, so we're just publishing the one test. Just if you buy the Q Southpaw, it comes with a mount, the rear end with the bigger bore, and the wrench flats and all that stuff. That's what was tested with it in the article today. Okay, and we put a note. There's a system evaluation note at the top of the article you can read, and it'll talk about the two mounts and the differences and if it matters or not. And I'll tell you what, it's not huge. The difference is not huge. Okay, I hope that satisfies your curiosity. And if you have a technical question about that, after you read the article, please tech@pewscience.com, and then you can wait until the next episode, which I will explain it to you anyway. Okay, great. Okay, so the report goes live around 0700 or so. We'll see what happens. It's always an adventure. Please be safe, have fun, and I will talk with you folks again soon, okay? All right, bye.